The mountains stood tall, covered in mist and silence. Deep in western China, where few people lived and even fewer dared to go, something huge was rising from the earth. It was not a mountain, though it was just as big. It was not a city, though. It housed thousands. It was a dam, the biggest ever built. They called it Titan Dam, and it stretched across a wide valley like a wall between two giants. Its concrete base was thick enough to hold back an ocean. Its towers reached high into the sky, glowing at night with rows of bright lights. Workers came from all over. Engineers, drivers, drillers, and guards. They lived in camps carved into the cliffs, with tunnels that ran like veins through the rock above them. Drones flew in circles, watching everything below them. Machines dug deeper into the earth, and, somewhere far beneath the surface, something slept. Maggie Carter stepped off the helicopter, her boots hitting the ground hard. Wind pulled at her jacket as she adjusted her glasses and looked around. She had seen big projects before: bridges, power plants, even the Three Gorges Dam. But this was different. This was massive. Next to her, Derek Hull landed with a grunt. He scanned the area with sharp eyes, always looking for danger. Once a soldier, always a soldier. "This thing's taller than some cities," he said. "Yeah," Maggie replied. "And we're here to make sure it doesn't fall down." "We're part of a small team invited by the Chinese government to observe the project." It wasn't common for foreign experts to be allowed in, especially Americans, but the scale of Titan Dam was too great to keep secret. With them were Nina Patel, climatologist who studied how big dams changed weather; Carlos Ruiz, an engineer who loved impossible structures; Lisa Moran, a journalist who asked too many questions. They were met by a Chinese official named Mr. Zhou, spoke perfect English, and smiled without meaning it. "Welcome to Titan Dam," he said. "You will see only what we allow. You will ask questions, but only when told. Understood?" They nodded, even Lisa. Then they were taken on a tour. The first stop was the command center, a building built into the side of the mountain. Inside, screens lined the walls, showing live feeds from every corner of the dam. Workers moved like ants along the structure. Cranes lifted steel beams longer than football fields. Pumps pushed water through pipes thicker than cars. A technician pointed to one screen showing the river below. "Water levels are stable," he said. "Flow control is normal." Maggie watched closely. "What about underground pressure?" Mr. Zhou gave a short nod. "All under control." But Maggie wasn't so sure. As they walked through the dam, she noticed things others didn't. Small cracks in the lower walls, faint tremors underfoot, strange readings on the seismic monitors. Something was moving beneath them. Later that day, they were taken to the top of the dam. From there they could see for miles. The river behind them stretched like a silver snake, held back by the massive wall. Ahead, the land dropped away into deep valleys and dark forests. Lisa took pictures. While Nina stared at the clouds above, strange weather patterns, Nina muttered, "Like the air's heavier here." Carlos leaned on the railing. "That's because of the pressure. This dam isn't just holding back water. It's shifting the whole region." Derek looked at him. "How bad could that be?" Carlos shrugged. "Depends on what's underneath." Maggie turned to Mr. Zhou. "Have you done full geological scans below the foundation?" He paused just long enough to answer slowly. "Yes, all clear." But Maggie saw something in his face. He was hiding something that night. They stayed in a guest compound near the worker camps. It was quiet, except for the distant hum of machines. Lisa sat on her bed, flipping through notes. "I don't trust." "That guy? Zhang?" Derek asked. "Zhou," she corrected. "He's lying." Maggie sat beside her. "About what?" "Everything," Lisa said. "I asked him about the local legends. He shut me down fast." Nina joined them. "There's more to this place than they're saying." Maggie looked out the window. Beyond the lights of the dam, the forest was dark and silent. "Tomorrow," she said, "we look deeper." The next morning, they went back to the dam. Time to the lowest levels. They passed through heavy doors and narrow tunnels until they reached the base tier. The sound of rushing water was constant. Pipes groaned under pressure. Metal floors vibrated with the weight of millions of tons of water. Maggie stopped near a wall and placed her hand on it. It was warm, not from the sun, from something else. "This isn't normal," she whispered Carlos. Checked his scanner. Heat readings are off. Pressure points aren't matching expected values. Derek frowned. "You think the dam's going to break?" "No," Carlos said. "I think it's already putting stress on something else." They followed a maintenance path down another level, and then they heard it. A low sound. Not from the dam. From below, like a heartbeat muffled. Deep, ancient. Lisa looked at Maggie. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah," Maggie said. "I don't like it." Later that day, they met with Mr. Zhou again. "You have concerns?" he asked. Maggie crossed her arms. "Why did you build this dam here?" He blinked. "Because the river needed control." "It's not just the river," she said. "It's the ground itself. We've seen signs of movement. Heat, pressure. Something's beneath us." For a moment, Mr. Zhou said nothing. Then he leaned forward. "Slightly, some things," he said quietly, "were meant to stay buried." Before anyone could ask more, alarms began to ring. Outside workers shouted. Lights flickered on the screens in the command center. Red lines appeared, seismic activity rising. Not far below the dam. Right under it, Maggie stared at the monitor. "Whatever's down there," she said softly. "It's waking up." Weeks after their visit, reports begin surfacing, unexplained tremors near the dam, equipment failures, and missing workers. Maggie returns under the pretense of a follow-up study. This time, she brings Carlos and Lisa with her. They discover that the dam wasn't built on solid ground. It was built over something old Chinese records. Hint at a forgotten myth, a sleeping beast buried beneath the mountain range. Ancient texts describe a structure older than human civilization, sealed away when the first dynasties rose. Nina, still monitoring from afar, finds odd readings in the river downstream, spikes in radiation, changes in salinity, and signs of heat coming from deep underground. Carlos runs simulations. The pressure from the dam is shifting more than rock. It's shifting something else. One night, a worker vanishes during a routine inspection. His last words recorded by a drone camera chilling. "It's awake." Maggie and Carlos push for an investigation. Instead, they're quietly told to leave. They refuse. And then the dam starts acting strangely. Lights flicker without cause. Water flows backward for minutes at a time. Machines report data they can't explain. And deep in the tunnels beneath the dam, something begins to rise. A major tremor hits the region. Not natural, directed, focused. The dam holds. Barely. China denies any danger. But secretly, emergency teams rush to seal lower access points. Maggie, Carlos, and Lisa sneak inside one of the forbidden maintenance shafts. What they find changes everything. Beneath the dam lies a vast cavern, untouched by time. Walls covered in symbols not found in any known language. Machines embedded in stone, humming softly as if waiting in the center. A massive structure, part organic, part mechanical, pulses slowly, like a heart. This isn't a dam. It's a prison built long ago, possibly by humans or something else entirely. It's contained whatever sleeps below. And now, the weight of the water, the vibrations of construction, and the immense pressure have weakened the seal. Maggie touches one of the symbols. It lights up. The structure reacts. The pulse grows stronger, and the dam above them groans. Carlos tries to shut it down. But the system responds to something else. DNA Tommy, one of the local engineers, unknowingly activates a hidden panel. He has native ancestry tied to the builders of the original. Sealed up, the chamber floods with light, and the voice comes. Not spoken, felt. "You have broken the gate." Before they can react, the tremors return, stronger this time, back at the surface. Cracks appear along the base of the dam. China goes into lockdown, and the world watches in horror. News spreads fast. Titan Dam is failing. Governments scramble. Scientists warn of catastrophic collapse. Millions downstream are in danger. But Maggie knows the real threat isn't just water. It's what's coming up. Inside the dam. The seal. breaks completely. From the depths, a shape rises. Not fully physical, not fully energy. It moves like smoke, shaped like a giant serpent made of stars. It coils around the dam's core. Absorbing the energy stored in the turbines, China launches emergency strikes. Missiles hit the dam, but do nothing to the entity. The creature doesn't. Attack. It awakens, and then it speaks. Not in words, in memories. Visions flood the minds of everyone. Nearby images of ancient wars, lost civilizations, and a time when beings like this ruled the earth before humanity existed. Lisa collapses, screaming about seeing the birth of the pyramids. Carlos sees a city floating in the sky. Maggie dreams of walking with giants. The entity is not evil, it is curious, and now it sees us. The dam fails. Not with a single explosion, but a slow release as the entity reshapes the landscape. Entire valleys flood. Towns are washed away. But somehow the worst is avoided. The entity redirects much of the water, sparing the largest. Cities. China declares martial law. The world demands answers. Maggie, Carlos, and Lisa are questioned, warned, and eventually released. They write their findings and send them out. Cross secure channels. The message is clear. Humans didn't just build the biggest dam in history. We woke something up, and it's watching us. Months later, satellite scans show something new. The flooded area is forming a massive lake, unlike any other in its center. Glowing patterns appear on the surface like eyes opening, like something waiting and far above. A probe orbiting Mars detects a signal. It's not from Earth, it's responding.